Hello, welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be telling you a few creepy stories that might keep you up at night. For those of you that like scary stories, because it's intriguing, welcome. So the Vasila Axe Murder House in Villisca, Iowa, is a well-known tourist attraction for ghost hunters and horror lovers alike. The site of a gruesome, unsolved 1912 murder in which 6 children and 2 adults had their skulls crushed in by an axe of a unknown perpetrator. This house was bought in 1994 and restored to its 1912 condition and converted into a tourist attraction. It cost $428 a night to stay at the old haunted home, where visitors always report strange paranormal experiences such as visions of a man with an axe roaming the halls and faint screams of children running down the hall. But in November of 2014, the haunting took a darker turn. Robert Stephen Larson Jr., he's 37, of Rhinelander, Wisconsin, was on a regular recreational paranormal visit with friends, and true horror struck. His companions found him stabbed in the chest, an apparent self-inflicted wound. He called 911, and Lauren was brought to a nearby hospital before being helicoptered to the University of Medical Center in Omaha, the hospital. The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office said Larson suffered a self-inflicted injury at about 12:45 a.m., which is around the same time the 1912 axe murders in the house began. Larson recovered from his injuries, but he never spoke publicly about what occurred that day. So they said it's a self-inflicted injury, but apparently it looks like someone else had done it to him because he didn't want to talk about it. For Martha Lynn, the owner of the home, the incident was very upsetting. It's publicity, but it's not the kind of publicity you want because, you don't want people thinking that when they come to the Villisca Axe murder house, something's going to happen that's going to make them do something like that. So it could be that he did inflict this injury on himself, but it could be because of something he saw or the spirits and the ghosts in the house made him do for some reason. But the house remains open till this day, and visits can stay overnight if they like. So that's the first story. The second story is about a doll that is haunted. I actually watched a few docuseries on Netflix about that kind of thing, and it was pretty awesome. It's interesting because it's paranormal, and I love that kind of thing. So let's see where this story takes us. When you think of haunted dolls, it's like the creepy old Victorian-looking porcelain dolls that springs to your mind, none of which you probably have laying around the house. Well, when I was a little girl, I had a porcelain doll, and it had all these frilly dresses, beautiful, beautiful doll, and nothing ever happened with my doll. Still, it says don't get too comfortable around kids' toys soon, because a Disney Frozen Elsa doll that was gifted for Christmas in 2013 in the Houston area made headlines earlier this year when it seemingly became haunted. So the doll recited phrases from the movie Frozen and sang "Let It Go" when a button on its neckline was pressed. For 2 years it did that in English. The mother, Emily Madonna, said in 2015 it started doing it and alternating between Spanish and English. So the doll is programmed to just speak English, but then it starts to speak Spanish. And the family has owned the doll for more than 6 years and never changed its batteries. The mother says the doll would randomly begin to speak and sing even when its switch turned off, even without the batteries. The family decided to throw the creepy doll out on December of 2019. Weeks later, they found it in a bench in their living room. The kids insisted they did not put it there, And I believed them because she said she believed them because they wouldn't have dug through the garbage outside to get to that doll. At that point, Elsa ceased to sing the English rendition of Let It Go altogether, speaking only in Spanish when pressed. The family then double-bagged the bizarre doll and placed it at the bottom of their garbage, which was taken out on garbage day. They went on a trip shortly after, but when they returned, Elsa too had come back and was waiting in the backyard of their home. This time the family mailed Elsa to a family friend in Minnesota who taped the haunted doll to a front bumper of his truck. It didn't seem to have made its way back to Houston yet, so as per Madonia's latest February Facebook update on the creepy doll. So they sent this doll to a relative who put it on their truck. I don't know why anyone would take a creepy doll and put it on the bumper of their truck. I'm not sure why anyone would do that. So, here's a story of a deadly exorcism. For those of you who do not know what exorcisms are, it's when like a bad evil spirit can use the energy of a person's body and speak through it and use his body and torture it. And when they try to get rid of it, it's called exorcism. So in August of 2016, in North London, 26-year-old Kennedy Ife, her name is Ife, began acting strange and aggressively following a pain in his throat. He reportedly bit his father and threatened to cut off his own penis. Ooh, I didn't know that was coming. And he complained of a python snake inside of him before his family took him and pinned him down to the bed and tied him down with cable ties. So the family then set about trying to cure Kennedy through restraint and prayer over the next 3 days. And his brother Colin Ife told the police it's clear that thing was in him. What we believed was demon because it was not natural. It was clearly trying to kill him, he said. We had to restrain him for himself. It was clear if we didn't restrain him, he would have tried to harm people in our family. So Kennedy Ife had been bound to his bed for 3 days without medical attention when his brother called emergency services, explaining that Kennedy Ife was complaining of dehydration. He appeared to develop breathing issues and was pronounced dead at 10:17 a.m. While police were at the house, Colin Ife allegedly carried out an attempted resurrection by chanting and praying for Mr. Ife. Oh my God. So I think what happened here is that they didn't even give this guy food or water while he was tied down for 3 days, which could cause someone to die. That's kind of scary. All the Kennedy Ife family members were accused of manslaughter, rightfully so. False imprisonment and causing or allowing the death of a vulnerable adult. A post-mortem examination revealed over 60 wounds, including a possible bite on Kennedy Ife's body, and his father, Kenneth Ife, along with 4 of his brothers, sustained injuries as well. Kenneth Ife told jurors he ordered his sons to take shifts and use overwhelming force, but denied that any association with cults, occults, and secret societies. He said that none of this occults or secret societies played into his son's death. After a 4-day jury deliberation, all 7 family members were cleared of charges on March 14th of 2019. But what I don't understand is why they didn't get help, like in other ways, like he died of dehydration, obviously, so someone should be held accountable. So here we have another story called Dead Animals in the Walls. When the Bretsius family decided to insinuate their home in Auburn, Pennsylvania in 2015, they discovered that it had already been with scores of dead animal carcasses. What does that mean, to insinuate? Insulate. Oh my God. not insinuate, insulate. So this family wanted to insulate their house, to keep out the cold, but when they tried to do that, they found dead animals inside the walls to insulate it, and the dead animals were wrapped in newspapers from the 1930s and 40s and were among half-used spices and other items. They used spices on the animals. After removing the items, they sent hundreds of artifacts and carcasses to an expert in Kutztown. The expert attributed the rotting animals in their walls to pow pow or Dutch magic, a ritual originated in the culture of the Pennsylvania Dutch to treat ailments and gain physical and spiritual protection. The Pennsylvania Dutch were a group of German-speaking settlers the Dutch were a group of German-speaking settlers to Pennsylvania in the 1600s and 1700s, and are often of Lutheran, Mennonite, or Amish faiths. The Washington Post notes on the magic that many of the spells that these people used to, the ones that insulated their walls with dead carcasses, many of the spells deal with the care of livestock, finding water of the treatment or the treatment of minor ailments. So, like in the old days, in the 16 and 1700s, they didn't really have, they didn't really have what we have today, like antibiotics and stuff like that, So they're always trying to find stuff to treat the ailments of their livestock. So he talks about the conditions and concerns of the early American settlers. But powwow also had within it a tradition of darker spells, and even of such things as conjuring demons. One notable ritual in their tradition is this hex to create loyalty in a dog. To attach a dog to a person, provided nothing else was used before to affect it, try to draw some of their blood, and let the dog eat it along with his food, and he will stay with you. Yeah, that sounds like dark occultism, like demonic practices. Satanistic. The mold found on the rotting carcasses in the Bratsuis home has caused illness amongst the family members, and they say that the odor hasn't gone away. So all along, all these carcasses were there, and they were used for like magic spells, and it was making them sick all the years until they found out. So that's 3 stories for now. I hope you enjoyed it.